Hello.
Hello.
Okay. So thank you for being here and witness to my technical abilities that my camera was actually just shut off. So that happened. I'm here with Jessica Chmyzinski, and you own a school.
I do.
Okay.
An early education center.
Okay, lovely. I'm actually really excited about this because I have no idea about any of this. So I'm asking you questions with I did zero homework, so that way I would ask the same questions that everyone would have without having any knowledge of what that takes to do. And I'm really excited to learn. And I know Jessica because you are a client here
I am.
at Everbloom.
Yep,
And you see Kate.
I do.
Okay. And she was the one that was like, you have to talk to my client. She's amazing. And I know you're a little nervous. This isn't your jam usually.
That's right. I'm way outside my comfort zone.
That's probably our lives in a nutshell, right?
Sure.
This is all a little outside our comfort zones, doing what we do. So can you tell us a little background, or a lot of background, about what you do, about your school?
Okay. So I have a school. It's Packard Mountain Learning Center in Belchertown, Mass. It's a licensed program by Early Education and Care. And I started that in 2022. I purchased a commercial building and opened up the program.
Okay, so I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
How does one purchase a commercial building? Were you seeking out like spaces, like I would like to open a school, I'm gonna find a realtor and look at some buildings?
So I, over the course of years, because I have a second business too that I started in 2017, Applied Behavioral Analysis Services. That is predominantly a home-based business where we provide services in the home for our clients. But I've had offices around Western Mass to run that program out of, and sometimes we would do social skills groups where some of the kiddos that we were working with would come to the office space for that. So after having several office spaces around and just the finances behind renting in general, commercial spaces, we kind of outgrew, and I was looking for a larger space and looking to add on an early education center, so it seemed to make sense to look for a commercial building that I could own and run that out of and have more flexibility around our needs.
That makes sense. Yeah. So when you purchased the building, you also had like a build out? Did you have to do a lot of construction to the building to make it like school-like and feasible? And I'm sure there was kind of like zoning things, or I don't know what you guys, we have a cosmetology board that comes in and looks at your space and makes sure that like you have lids on things and barbicide and clean this. So did you have people have to come in and like check out the space and say like give you the check mark of approval? Is that a thing for schools as well?
Sort of, yes. So that building was actually already outfitted for a child care program.
Oh, awesome.
Two other daycares, child care centers had run out of the building prior to my buying it and moving in. So there was already a commercial playground outside. It was already set up on the inside.
Perfect.
So it was really a good fit and a good match for our needs. So there was very little construction that we had to do. We replaced some of the rugs with some wood flooring and repainted everything inside. And then with early education and care for licensure, there's lots of check marks and boxes to prepare for your site visits and licensing visit.
Okay.
So that includes, partnering with the town and getting a business permit to work in town, having the building inspector out to check out the building and sign off on that, having the fire department out to check out and sign off on that. So lots of things to do in preparation for the initial licensing visit, and then annual things to do.
So it's fair to say that you had a fair amount of paperwork.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a key contributor to, I think that first impressions of opening something is a little like find the space, sign the name, like there's so many, depending on your business, there's so many protocols and boards of and inspections and licensing. It's can be like a part-time, that of itself is like a part-time job.
Yes. There's a lot of HR responsibilities and employment law responsibilities and behind the scenes business sense that needs to occur.
So did you know those things, or because you already you had already started, so you knew some of the things. So you weren't like day one, you were more so taking what you had already built and moving it into like just a bigger space essentially and adding services.
Yes, I did have a pretty solid background. When my children were young, I opened up a home childcare business. So I ran that for 10 years. So I was already familiar with early education and care and licensing and following all the regulations and the things that went along with having a home-based center, or not center, but childcare. So a lot of that was very applicable to more of the commercial or bigger. So we are a large group and school age program, center-based, since we're at the commercial space. So there's a few more regulations, some differences between home-based and center-based, but mostly all of that information was the same and applicable, and all the licensing things that you have to go through. So I already had that baseline that I had learned, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's important too that when people see what you have now, to understand like the stepping stones that got you to where you are now. Like you didn't start there.
Right.
Like you just said, you started with a daycare in your home and running a business with you.
Right.
And doing that, and for, you said 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that for 10
so
years.
That was a long time, and then you kind of branched out into a couple smaller offices or doing, still more home things, and then came to the center-based model. So I think it's important for just even realizing that just because you see where somebody is now, that's not where they started.
No.
Usually there's a long story behind it with lots of years.
Yes.
And that experience compiles after all those years. That's like huge. You walk into any business, I can think of even like Roots, right, in Westfield.
Right.
They're huge. It didn't start like that.
Right.
Like there's just so many examples of like admiring something without understanding the building blocks and the time it took to get there.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's huge. Okay, so how many employees do you have?
So at the school, I have 7 employees, teachers, including myself. I'm the program director. My other business, the ABA business, runs out of there. We have a clinic upstairs from the school, and it's an integrated program. So I have probably 10 behavior technicians that are in the building that work alongside with us in the classroom and up in the center.
Oh, wonderful. So your center, is that for just anybody to come to, is it daycare, preschool, is it?
Yep, so we, for Packard Mountain, the Learning Center, we enroll 0 to 6 years old. So we have an infant program, a toddler program, a preschool program. Right now we're running a small kindergarten program. It's all private. And so we have open enrollment for those programs through our website. And for ABA, we have kids that are enrolled both in the Packard Mountain and receiving services throughout their day, right in the classroom. So we have enrollment opens for that. And then we also have, as part of the ABA business, we still do some of the home-based work. So I have a team out in the Berkshires, and we have some clients that we see in-home as well. So we're kind of all over Western Mass.
Do you schedule all those things, or do you have somebody that helps schedule all the, like, that would be That's your job too?
Yeah, so we have a very small administrative team. Right now there's 3 of us.
Okay.
And so we kind of take care of all of those things. So yeah, I wear many hats. I'm very busy. And I am the director of both programs. So yeah, it's a lot.
That's a lot. Do you have kids of your own?
I do, but they're adults.
They're adults. Okay.
And actually, my daughter is one of our teachers at the school.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. So what kind of services do you provide for ABA?
ABA.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just
Yeah.
read, to just keep it simple and not get off the rails here, a very simple description of ABA so people know what we're talking about here. ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. It's a therapy based on the science of learning and behavior, focusing on understanding how behavior works and is affected by the environment. We use positive reinforcement. It has become widely known for servicing kiddos or individuals rather with autism spectrum disorder, which is the population that I work with and serve, but ABA is really all around us, and people don't recognize, it's just behavior, it's anything that lives. So ABA application can be in the workplace, in the environment, really it's all around us and people don't realize it.
So your providers is it like more so understanding behavior and like giving maybe some coping mechanisms or some tools to have in terms of those kids or people, or is it for like a group around them to like, or both?
It's both. So there's environmental arrangements that we make, changing things in the environment, so kiddos can access positive reinforcement or change behavior. So we're looking at changing behavior, meeting people where they're at and building skill acquisition, and then reducing any unwanted behaviors that we see.
Wow. So how do you does your work week look like a Monday through Friday? Or being a business owner, you're probably working all the time. Do you have any boundaries for yourself in terms of what that looks like, your schedule for you?
I try to. So, really as a business owner, a small business owner, or a single member business owner, you're really on the clock all the time. So there's emergencies that arise and things that happen on the weekends and after hours and when you're on vacation, and you have to take care of those things. And that's just part of the job and part of being a business owner. So you can't really turn it off. But I've started to try to create boundaries around, when it's after hours, I don't answer the phone, or I let the voicemail take it, and really just attend to emergencies, and then try to keep other access to business hours.
Are you like screen calls? Do you actually answer and say like, yeah, this does not get my attention at the moment, but I will get back to you tomorrow? I wish there was a way you could actually, like your phone had to like screen it for you and be like, you want to take this,
Right.
or you don't want to take that.
Right. So usually I leave it to voicemail.
Okay.
If it's important and it's an emergency or somebody needs me, then they'll leave a voicemail. So I do listen to the voicemails. So I, have to access it that way, but I can screen it out in that sense.
Oh my goodness. So when did you open the center?
2022 for the Learning Center.
Okay, and that was where was that in terms of COVID?
It was pretty post-COVID when things were opening back up.
Okay.
So my ABA business I started in 2017. So we went strong, grew, pretty big. We were like a borderline medium large company, pre-COVID rather. But we were able to get through, pretty unscathed. I kept everybody employed. I was able to still meet clients, and we moved to a telehealth model, which, everybody did during that time. So we were able to stay in business and help our families and keep our employees employed. So
That's
I
wonderful.
feel, really proud of that, and happy that we were able to move through that period. And then post-COVID, things started opening up and people started, getting back together in public, and that's when I moved towards looking for a location and opening up the Learning Center.
Wow. So would you say that when you started, in terms of like your why you wanted to do this, even coming out of home daycare, did you just really love making an impact in children's lives? Was it that part? Was it the ABA, like the instruction itself, that you kind of went more towards, like the skill of it? What's the why there?
Yeah, so it's really kind of all encompassing. So I really had to be a big parent advocate for my children when they were in school. And that was a big job and a tough job to kind of get their needs met and advocate for what they needed. And so my love for helping children and helping those in need kind of, I think, went way back, but started to grow there. And then I put myself through school, and I got degree after degree, and I went into special education, and then I switched over to ABA, and then I went on to get my doctorate, and so
oh my goodness,
kind of grew and grew.
You did this after you had your own children?
Yeah. So when I had my children and I was doing my home daycare, I put myself through school and got a bachelor's degree in early education, and then I just kept going to school from there. So then I got my master's in special education, and then a second master's in ABA. And then I got my doctorate. I have a few certificates. So I just love learning. I love education. And it just all helped me with my business sense, and because I don't have a business background. So
I was going to say, so all of that school with like the skill, the learning itself, the teaching, do you feel like that was helpful in terms of running an actual business, or do you feel like the business part of it, the business mindset, the opening of the buildings and leases or contracts and things like that was more of a learn as you go kind of thing?
Yeah, it was definitely a learn as I go kind of thing. I mean, I picked up skills along the way with just renting buildings or spaces to run the business when I had the business, but just putting all of those skills together, learning Massachusetts employment law, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
A lot to abide by, a lot of guidelines. So just that HR aspect is a lot. It's a lot to know, a lot to adhere to.
And what helped you with that? Was it more like online course? Do they have like online crash courses for like HR?
They do. They have certificate programs in HR and business, but I think just for me, it was just learning along the way, reading, being part of different what is it? SHRM. It's the human resource, being part of different organizations and platforms that share information, keep you updated, has a big impact on learning and educating yourself, keeping you up with all the new latest rules and regulations and guidelines.
I assume there are like associations that you're a part of that kind of help you in terms of the newest things in education and teaching, and you guys do a lot of certifications, especially the teachers as well,
right,
to keep their skills up.
Yeah, we do a lot of certifications, a lot of professional development.
That was the word I was looking for.
So, keeping up with all of that, and just keeps you good in your field, whatever field it is.
Yeah.
Doing best practice.
So do you have any other, do you think about expanding? Do you think about, like, is your plate rather full at the moment, or are you somebody that's still dreaming as you're going?
Yeah, I'm always reaching for the stars, doing bigger and better things. I actually just purchased my second commercial building. I closed last week.
Oh my goodness.
And we're opening another center and expanding.
So this is going to be the same name as your learning center right now? Just another location?
Probably, yeah. We're still working out those pieces. But yeah, it'll be an extension of our current
Holy
program.
Smokes. Does your family help in turn? Like, I know your daughter's a teacher. Do any of your other kids, anybody kind of help? Or?
Yeah. So I have a really tight family, a really close family. So everybody does help. I try not to put it out there because we try to keep things professional, but we are a family-based business. So my brother is my operations director.
Oh, that's awesome.
My mother is our billing specialist. One of my sisters had worked for me doing human relations. My sister-in-law is involved, my other sister. So really, it's a family business.
Okay, and that's been good.
It's been good for me. I mean, I think it's hard for a lot of people, but we work really well together. We're all pretty aligned and on the same page, and we've just been tight like that our whole life. So it works for us. I know for a lot of families that just doesn't work, and it's tough. But we're lucky.
You guys are really lucky. Yeah. I've had another podcast with. She's a wonderful. She does our social media, and she's in a business with her husband. And I'm always like, how do you do that? But yeah, she said it works for them. I think that you do get some instances where I also believe if everybody has their specific job description, it's when those things kind of interfere and kind of collide, and there's not clear set, like, this is your job, you do your job and I do my job, and then when they come together they make a business. I think that's when it works, having like those specific roles. So if everybody knows and has clear ideas of what they're responsible for and what their job is, it probably runs rather well.
And I think we're all pretty in tune with ourselves, in individually as well. So, we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, and together with my family, we all complement one another with different strengths and weaknesses, and we all recognize that and can talk about that. And so I think that really helps us as a team. We're a great team.
Oh, awesome. So in terms of looking back and the journey and all the little tiny steps, what would you say was your biggest challenge in growing?
I think just some of the rules and regulations, and just making sure that we're aligning to that and keeping compliant, because there's a lot of working pieces. And I think the human resource aspect of things and the employment law aspect of things for me has been the most challenging to learn and get down and make sure that I'm doing all of those pieces. Having to be super organized is another important factor, because there's so many timelines and compliance things that have to be met, and if you're not organized, it's easy to miss those deadlines, and that can be a huge problem. So
would you say that's something that you've always had to be, like, it's come easier for you, like in terms of school and things, just having all your ducks in a row and being organized, or do you think that was something that you had to learn?
I think I've definitely had to learn along the way. And as you grow bigger and add on more pieces, there's a lot more to be organized about, and it can get overwhelming and out of control very quickly. And I think, that's probably why a lot of businesses struggle or fail in those first few years, because it's easy to do the job as a clinician or do the work that you know how to do, but the business side of things, I'm a single member LLC, so it's really all on me to know everything and do everything. So early on, it was just myself and one clinician that I hired, and then we grew from there. And then it got to a point, I think, knowing when you've reached that capacity to do it by yourself and allowing others to come in and letting go of the reins a little is really hard for me. So
delegating's hard. I would also.
So I would say that was probably the biggest thing for me is letting go of the reins, letting other people in to do some of that work, because then it feels like you don't know everything anymore.
Yeah,
and you feel like you've lost control.
Lost control. Yeah, I think it's a certain element of communication. Like, I don't think people understand how much of your job is communicating. Period. Having like systems and structures of, we're going to meet every week in the beginning of the week to set the week, meet at the end of the week to recap the week and what could have gone better, what needs to continue, and even just the words you use. Well, like, oh, I didn't think you meant it like that, or I didn't know that's what you wanted. Or communicating is such an incredible skill. I think I'm learning a lot about it all the time, but I think as of late, it's been like on the forefront of understanding like that language, if not said very directly, deliberately, and intentionally, can just be like, oh, I didn't hear it like that, or I thought you meant X, Y, Z. So, I mean, I don't even know you have far more employees than I do. Not to mention you're dealing with parents. That is such a valuable skill.
It is. It's actually not my strength.
I'd love to hear you say that. Strength. Yeah. Okay. So what do you, oh, that's fascinating. This is why we do this, is because if you were to look at you, you'd say, oh, you're probably like nailing it, right? And so that's not your strength.
No, I'm not a great communicator. I think my mind works faster than my mouth, so I'm always 10 steps ahead. So I've already been there, done that before I get out vocally what I need to get out. So that's, and there's a lot to communicate, and people hear things differently, and communication modalities are so different now as well. So there's text message, there's email. God,
now you're speaking my language. Yeah, you're like, was that in a DM? Was it an email? Was it a text? Did you leave me a voicemail? Like,
where is it? And what did somebody hear in a text message?
Yes. Oh,
so,
wow. Nope, I feel, I hear that, all of it.
Yeah.
Do you have other people on the team that seem to communicate really well, and you're like, that has become more of their job?
Yeah, so my brother, the operations director, he's a great communicator.
Okay.
So he's pretty well versed in that, so I really have to kind of run everything off of him, or bounce it off of him. So in that sense, we're a great team, because it's really good to have two people, two eyes on emails going out, two ears listening to what's going to be said, or so that we can bounce ideas and get out the proper message and get it out accurately and efficiently. And so I think, working as a team for me is better than working independently.
Yeah, there's so many layers when it comes down to a business that serves either clients or students. So you have your team that you have to communicate with, and you guys all have to be on the same page. And then they turn around, and now it's a service that they're providing for a paying client or member, or whatever your business has. So there's just so many layers of your product or your service being applicated, being dispersed, and doing it in a way of aligning with your mission,
Right.
it's a lot.
It
A lot
is
of
a lot.
delivery, it's a lot of intention, it's a lot of communication. Yeah.
Yeah, and messages have to be delivered differently depending on who you're delivering to, whether it's a parent, a teacher, a behavior technician, an admin person. So,
Yes. And I've interviewed other business owners that say that, they're clearly like almost in a business of leadership, and they're great in leadership in this way, but they'll, say my strength is not leadership in this way.
Right.
Or, so it's not even as cut it and dry as to say I'm great in the, leadership. It's like, I'm good with this, I'm not good with this kind. So it's just important too that I feel like owning a business, it exposes every weakness that you kind of have ever had. Like, I can remember being in geometry and just like, if I sit in the back and like, just kind of duck down a little bit, I won't raise my hand and I can just kind of get by. And I can skate by, if passing is a 60, I'll get a 63, and then I'll move on. But owning a business is wildly exposing.
it is, and there's a lot of risk involved.
A lot of risk. Yeah, having employees being responsible for people's jobs takes a special kind of person to take that on and be able to kind of function every day. Does that ever get to you in a debilitating way, or have you always just been like, I can do this? Do you feel like I feel like I'm on a roller coaster most days. It's very much like up, and then it's like it can feel like the world is ending, but then in 10 minutes later you're like, I'm optimistic.
Yeah, it's definitely a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You have to have really thick skin and let things bounce off of you, and you can't take anything personally as a business owner. So if you don't have those qualities about you, then you can't survive.
Sometimes I feel like it's hard not to take everything personally, because if your business is failing, it's probably because of you. If people aren't showing up and you're not enforcing policies and it's a free-for-all, it's because of you. Mm-hmm. If you have no clients and nobody wants to come in, it's probably because of you. So in that way too, I'm like, talk about exposing and being vulnerable. Like, you're at the forefront and it's just you, especially you and I are both, solo, doing the solo thing. Mm-hmm. So you have nobody to really it's not you, it's just me.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. I mean, do you have support outside of even like family or people that you work with every day, like just friends that you can bounce things off of, or just what do you do to de-stress?
So I do have a few close friends, and we get together often, and so we have some similar kind of business sense, so we can kind of talk and bounce ideas. But I travel a lot for my AVA business, going to conferences, and so I use that opportunity to network and just be immersed in the field, and that's always really powerful and uplifting for me. I always schedule a few days outside before or after, both to explore. We just went to Portugal in November, which was amazing, an amazing trip, an amazing learning experience.
Oh, wonderful.
I just got back from New Orleans, Louisiana in March, another great experience, learning experience, and just so I use that to decompress, learning more, being with my people in the field, and then doing some girls' trips with my girlfriends. And my daughter and I and my son were really tight, so we travel together and get together, and so I have them too.
So travel is probably your favorite outlet.
Probably,
getting away.
I think so. And just I'm a homebody, so just being by the pool, being home, I like that too.
Yeah, love that. do you have any, when does your second center open? You purchased the building, you
I
said.
purchased the building, I closed last week, so we're hoping, there's some work that needs to be done, some painting and things, so we'll probably start the ABA in the next couple of weeks, and then expand into the learning center down the road.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Oh, wonderful. Do you do any other, like, any community-based, are you in Belchertown, like, advertising? Do you have any other, like, marketing kind of, do you have a specific person that handles that too?
Not right now, but we are just, we have a marketing baseline. We're actually meeting with that team this week
Oh,
to
wonderful.
see what that looks like.
Oh,
and
my husband and wife duo?
Yes. Yes,
Oh, they're so
thank
good.
you for that referral.
They're so good.
They're great, so I'm really excited to see what she's uncovered and hear her plans moving forward. But we do the Belchertown Trunk or Treat every year. This year will be our third year getting involved with that. Things, are now finally starting to really open back up as far as getting out there post-COVID. I used to do a lot of vendor fairs pre-COVID, and so this May, next month, I believe, or no, at the end of this month, I'm doing the Autism Connections Conference. I have a vendor table there, which is in Springfield.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that'll be our first like real vendor table post-COVID. So I like to do that and just promote our business and promote jobs.
Yeah,
offerings
I was thinking about how do people get to know that you're there, because early developmental childcare, daycare centers are so in need.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good ones. You want to send your child your prized possession. You need to
Right.
send them somewhere where you can trust that they're going to get great care. Yeah, so they can also find you. You have a website, I'm sure.
We have a website, packardmountain.com, where there's a no obligation registration right in there. And then we schedule a visit, so a site visit to look at our program and make sure it's a good fit for them and a good fit for us. We mostly have marketed really just by word of mouth. So for employees and for clients has been really word of mouth. So we haven't had a lot of need to really focus on advertising.
Wow. Oh, that's great.
Kind of getting out there, but we're starting to look at marketing a little bit more. We have a lot of preschool openings, so I would really like to fill those slots. We just were approved, and we started this week actually for a grant for a brand new playground at our program. So
goodness.
that's a huge undertaking, but we're so excited and blessed that we have this opportunity.
That is a ton of growth.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine that this would, like, when you think about being a home daycare provider with your kids in your house, did you ever think that one day you would own 2 schools, a whole other business?
No, definitely not.
Buildings. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up at that point.
I love that.
So it's
that's
just
great to
kinda-
know too, that even if it doesn't happen for you when you're 22 or 23 or 27, I think a lot of people too don't understand that you can go to school forever, whenever, at any age.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was in high school, I had no interest in going to college, no plans to ever go to college. And so then, 10 years later, there I was ready to start college, and I've done really well with my education since then, but it was never in the plan or in the cards. And that's what I've told my daughter all along too. You don't have to think about what you want to do for the rest of your life, like right now, or go to college right now. You just have to work and let life take you where it takes you, and you just kind of find your niche, or you get introduced to someone who thinks that you'd be great at this and gives you a path here. Doors open all the time.
Yeah. Did you ever read those books, like those chapter books where it was like choose your own adventure?
Yes, of course.
That's
We're
what
dating ourselves though.
I am sure I am. Okay, so I tell my kids all the time that that's what life is like.
Yeah,
You go to a
for
different
sure.
chapter. I think they have very different mindsets in terms of just, I mean, they are in high school and it's like college. My oldest is 23. So it was very much so like college. And he took a gap year because he didn't know what he wanted to do. And I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just work, make money. They just, like, it's okay to, it's not a straight shot, you know?
It's not.
It's
And
a
I
choose
think
your own adventure.
It is. And it's hard at 18 to decide this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Now, you haven't had any life experience yet.
It's also hard to look at them and say, well, you can do that right now and you can go to school for that, sure. But like, when you're 35, you might want to do something completely different, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're a
Yes.
wonderful example of that to your kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how anyone does all that school while still having a family or raising a family.
Yeah, not a lot of sleep.
My goodness. So how has your business necessarily changed since you opened? Have your values and kind of all of those stayed the same? Or have you, I can think that since I've started, I definitely feel like it's shifted a bit. Do you think that that's always stayed the same, or do you think that that also grows when your business grows?
I think it grows. I mean, my values definitely have stayed solid.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's just the times. I mean, one of our big philosophies is being adaptable and being flexible and being forward thinking, because those are all things that you have to have. You have to change as the industry changes. You have to change as, you know, these up and coming employees, you know, have different mindsets and different values and different ways of communicating, and so you have to be in tune with all of that to be successful and maintain success.
Well said.
Thank you.
This was incredibly insightful,
Thank you.
and I had no idea. You're amazing. That whole thing was amazing. Your business is amazing. And if you guys need a place to go to school for your kids, I would definitely, what is your website?
PackardMountain.com, and our other website for our autism services is abaswma.org.
Lovely. Cool.
Thank you so
Well,
much for having me.
thank you for your patience. And now I know that you can actually just shut off the camera and open it back up. So look at that. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming down.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Mm.